All right, we are here in the pleasant future. It's ratings time, everyone's favorite weekly game show.
I'm right here, got my pads, my paper, my pen, ready to write these numbers down. Very important numbers for the big after the pay-per-view extravaganza television program that nobody could hear and it was painful to watch.
Now, a few notes before we give these ratings. Obviously, strong competition, and...
What? Are they still doing the Final Four?
Well, the West Coast was live. So there was...
Well, are they usually dead? What's the matter with the people on the West Coast?
Well, I guess usually they would get it at 8 p.m. Pacific, not 8 p.m. Eastern Standard.
Well, why'd they get it at a different time this week?
I think because of the hockey game, if I had to guess. Maybe.
Oh, because they wanted the hockey game in a time slot where people out there would watch, unlike this program.
That's right, and according to apparently what Dave Meltzer wrote, they were down 8% due. There's an 8% due specifically to the West Coast being live.
So 8%, that means we add 8% onto this number to make them even. That's what Dave is. Somebody on Twitter said Dave Meltzer would like to be able to kiss AEW on the mouth.
Well, we don't know for sure if he has or has not done that before. But Jim, AEW Dynamite, Wednesday, April 24th, Jacksonville, Florida, 8 to 10 p.m. sharp. On average, was watched by 683,000 viewers.
Oh!
It is the lowest rating for a Dynamite ever, excluding preemptions. Excluding when it didn't air.
Excluding when it did not air. This is the worst. It's the least good it's ever done. Oh, Mike, what was last week? 700 and something thousand? We said, oh shit, the bottom's falling out.
Last week was a disaster too, 762. This is 18% off that.
So they were down 10% even without the people in fucking Oregon, Washington, and California. And for anybody that happens to be in Montana or wherever the fuck that is in time zone category.
Well, let's see how they came in. These were compiled by WrestleNomics. 8 to 8:15 p.m., quarter one. The Elite and Jack Perry, it says Angle. Was that just when they arrived?
They walked out of the SUV and said shit. So
the Elite and Jack Perry arrive with bad audio. The Trent Beretta, Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor live promo and angle. John Moxley's muted backstage promo. Followed by the beginning of Swerve Strickland versus Kyle Fletcher. 792,000 viewers.
Oh, Jesus Christ, on a Ritz cracker.
316,000 in the key demo.
That's the lowest they've ever stood. What happened to the Big Bang? Was it the big bust this week? Did they preempt the bangers?
Maybe on the West Coast, people are not watching the Big Bang Theory live. Was it even one of the shows that, again, if this aired live there, that means their schedule on the West Coast may have been a little bit differently. Correct?
Does that account for 200,000 fucking people? 150,000 people that they normally more start this? Oh.
And again, we always talk about the fact that whatever they start with, that's not the real number, because that's a minute of the Big Bang Theory. This is without that minute, apparently, for some people. But quarter two, 8:15, 8:30 p.m., the continuation of Strickland versus Fletcher, with picture-in-picture ads, the Thunder Rosa Deonna Purrazzo backstage angle, and an ad break, 716,000 viewers.
Ooh, okay, so 76,000 people said, we can't do this anymore.
Well, we go into quarter three, 8:30 to 8:45 p.m. Mina Shirakawa versus Anna Jay with picture-in-picture, and the post-match with Mariah May and Toni Storm. 709,000 viewers.
That's a miracle that they only lost 7,000.
Well, we then go to 8:45 to 9 p.m., quarter four. Serena Deeb's muted ramp promo, an ad break, the Willow Nightingale celebration with Mercedes Moné, the Jack Perry and Matt Jackson backstage promo, I guess that's when they went to Tony's locker room, 694,000 viewers.
And again, they're holding up quite well for the content that they're providing. But now they're down, made 98,000 people in 1 hour from the lowest start ever.
Well, we now go to the big 9 o'clock hour, 9 to 9:15 p.m., quarter 5. The AEW International Title #1 Contendership Gauntlet match with picture-in-picture twice. 629,000 viewers.
Oh, so they lost another 65,000 people at the top of the hour, and that's where the Will Ospreay bonus baby signing is placed in this direct. So everybody is losing numbers that it has cost him any amount of money.
We then go to quarter 6, 9:15 to 9:30 p.m., the continuation of the Gauntlet match, the post-match with Will Ospreay and Roderick Strong, an ad break, and that Chris Jericho Big Bill live promo.
Ooh.
659,000 viewers.
Well, to what do you attribute 30,000 people coming to the finish of the big match?
I think it's the match and whoever was in it, what was happening, because I think the Jericho thing would have more of an effect on the next quarter based on
afterwards.
Where it is. Yeah.
Yes. So what was that quarter 7, Brian?
Quarter 7, no overrun this week. Quarter 7, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m. The Ospreay Don Callis, Kyle Fletcher backstage angle, an ad break, and the beginning of Moxley versus Hobbs with picture-in-picture. 607,000 viewers.
Oh. So that's the Jericho effect.
That's the Jericho effect. Kills numbers every time.
But drum roll, please, everybody. Everybody's been waiting with bated breath. The guys that are going to come back and change the world and save us all, and Tony Khan's big debut on television.
We now go to the final quarter 8, 9:45 to 10 p.m. I'll also give the key demo number here. The continuation of Moxley versus Hobbs. The post-match, Renee Paquette's interview with Katsuyori Shibata. The backstage, it says backstage angle. There was no angle, it was an interview. And finally, the Jack Perry, Tony Khan Elite angle and not hospitalization. He walked out. I just saw the video before you mentioned.
Yeah.
657,000 viewers and 330 in the key demo. That is the high point of the show.
Holy crapola. So they actually got 50,000 people to tune in to this thing to see Tony get dropped on his head.
Or there were people waiting for the hockey game. Again, it's a different kind of night because of that and how it screws things up. But there are people who are tuning into that channel just waiting for the game.
But there's still, even if you account for the fact that, yes, some people had to tune in expecting the game, they're still down for their big main event and for their big angle, 135,000 people from where they started, which was the lowest ever. So what's the 8% on top of this?
And again, it's far below the trend line. So even with the 8%, that's, I think, based on what I'm seeing here, it would still be below the trend line.
What's 8% of if they'd have done another 79,000 people from where they started, that would be 10%, and that'd still only put them at 850,000 or so. And that was the highest rated quarter, not the whole fucking show. So I don't, poor Uncle Dave. Anyway, I will say this now. This is what's happening. 5 years ago, what was the reason for AEW? Vince McMahon was running the evil empire. He was a heel owner. He had been for years, and people knew that he really did mistreat their favorite wrestlers and fire them and not make them do stupid things, not give them respect. And they didn't like the creative. And they were mad at the company because they were mad at the guy that they were mad at. And then along comes Tony Khan. And he's pro wrestler and pro fan and for the sport and blah, blah, blah. And it's all going to be great. But then 5 years later, not only has the WWE completely eradicated Vince McMahon, and they're changing his style of booking, and they're making stars, and the company is babyface, and Triple H is a hero to people. And they love the company now because the evil Machiavellian fucking McMahon is out of there. But meanwhile, over here, despite what you want to say about the booking or the talent or anything else, Tony Khan has got himself into a situation where his two EVPs that work for him are douchebag heels being assholes to everybody and fucking people around, sometimes while he sits there next to him and nods and smiles. And then a guy that was suspended for some reason that we kind of sort of found out about a week or two ago, but not really because they couldn't tell us and they couldn't mention the other guy's name. But he comes back and screws the rightful winners of the tag team title out of the goddamn thing and gives it to the douchebag EVPs. But yet when this fucking prick asks the boss to come out and just says, reinstate me and we'll change the world together, the boss hugs him and does everything but kisses him. And so how is Tony, and if these guys are heels and they're in on the fucking office and Tony's not doing anything about it, then why am I as a viewer supposed to give a fuck what happens to this guy or his company? Does that not make sense to what I'm saying to you?
That makes sense. What AEW does doesn't make sense, and they keep doubling down on all the stupid things, and they keep listening to the people that say, oh, they're doing great. The complaints are invalid. They were number 3 on cable. Everything's fine.
They've reversed their situation. The people love the WWE office now, and the fucking AEW is a bunch of goddamn heels screwing people around.
And word's gotten around. The chaos and the childishness and the drama that was always there, it all finally got out and people saw what a shit show it was. And they decided to counter that by putting on the worst television shows they've ever done, which their most hardcore fans say are great. They can't acknowledge the bad shit's bad.
Wait a minute, what do they say they are?
Great.
I just didn't want to disappoint anybody. Keep going.
And that's really it. I mean, we always say it. I always say it. It's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse from here. There's nothing that's shown you the booking is going to get better. There isn't an influx of talent that could be hired to change things. You have people there with talent who you could do things with if there was a booker. And if the booking in one segment had anything to do with the rest of the show. They have an overrun they do, except for this week. They have an overrun they do that drives people away. No one ever comes back for it. Whatever, everything. What is working? Swerve Strickland was hotter 2 months ago and a month ago, and it got cooler and cooler, and now he's the champion. It doesn't matter. Moxley's on there with another championship now. Ospreay's getting over. Naturally, he's in a heel stable. The Bucks are not over.
And he's about to win a mid-card belt or a preliminary belt.
The Bucks aren't over. And Jack Perry's only over because CM Punk slapped him around. And they're going to go with this pro wrestling guerrilla amateur hour type thing where this is the lead heel stable. Okada, Jungle Boy, and the Young Bucks. Horrible. This promotion is out of hand. They're horrible right now. That doesn't mean Will Ospreay won't have a good match. But that means that good match does nothing to negate all the other shit. That's the point.
Well, and don't forget now, if Tony Khan recovers from this brutal beating, he's going to have to do something about this, because if he fired the biggest star they've ever had because he yelled at him because he was scared for his life when that happened, then by the logic he has presented on his own television program, what's he going to do to these motherfuckers? Huh?
By the way, a tweet I just saw, the mayor of London has tweeted out something.
London, England, or London, Ontario?
London, England, Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, is an election next week. London is already the sporting capital of the world. If I'm re-elected next Thursday, we'll go even further. We'll look to bring in WrestleMania, Super Bowl, and the NBA to London, and put together another bid for the 2040 Olympics. He did say we'll have AEW at Wembley.
Holy shit. Well, and being Tony's father and everything, and still saying he's going to bring WrestleMania to London.
No, this is a different Khan. This is not a member of the family.
You said Shad Khan.
I said Sadiq Khan.
I thought that was his full given name, and Shad was just a nickname.
Is Shad going to start cutting promos?
He probably already has, Susie. Got back to the locker room. You fucking idiot. What the fuck are you thinking? Where's my fucking money?
Where's the checkbook? Give me the checkbook. You're out of the will. But again, big week coming off the pay-per-view that people were raving about the matches on. Coming off, they knew they had to do something on this show, and they announced stuff in the middle of the show, even though they had bad audio. It's another disaster week for AEW, despite how some of the people who love AEW want to spin it. It's another disaster week for AEW.
Well, and again, I'm saying that they're shooting themselves in the foot because not only are they presenting an amateurish production on several different levels when the other company is looking bigger and bolder and brighter and more expensive than it ever has. And at the same time, they're doing this thing with Tony where they're going to turn even their fans against the company because they're going to make him, or he's going to make himself just by exposing himself on television, such a clueless putz that he deserves what he gets. They were in his corner and all these guys' corners when they were fighting the big evil corporation, and they were the wrestlers all in. We're going to do it ourselves. That was the spirit of the thing. Now this guy's a fucking mark. He's bungled all his shit. Half the people are hurt. Everybody dislikes everybody else. The booking is shite, and the fucking office is now heels. What the...
Well, the other thing, too, is, and I'll end with this, and they've done this before with different things, with different situations, but if you knew you were going to do this big angle, you didn't know that you're going to have audio issues, but you knew you were going to have these viewership issues because of the time zone and the game. There'd be some sort of hit. You knew that. Why do this angle on this show if that's the case? If you know you're going to have more than likely, if everything goes well, a smaller audience than usual, why do the angle on this episode?
You know what? How often have we heard that Shad Khan was actually in the building at the show? Maybe he was at Wembley, right? Maybe. Did we hear that?
It's been a while since we've heard he's at show. He's been at various shows. Jacksonville, I guess, is the place we've maybe heard about it the most because
then also they're there for the big NFL draft where he makes some of his real money so that he can give it to Tony. Maybe they came up with this to pitch it to Tony. And look, your dad will be here. He can see you take this bump. Because that's all it is. They're just feeding Tony's fantasies now to stay in the position they're in that they don't deserve, and or to continue to get him to whip out his wallet and to ignore the fact that the numbers are going down when he involves the people that make the numbers go down. So, but you can take a bump in front of your dad. It'll be so cool.
I don't know if I would call that a bump. Well, he did take a bump. I guess it was just the wrong bump. Yeah. I
think that's where we are now.
All kidding aside, have the comparisons to Dixie Carter ever been more apropos?
No, but Dixie was better on television. And until you actually, talked to her for a little while, she was a very pretty lady. But she wasn't, she was a talented amateur on television. Tony is awkward in every way and unfit for broadcast, and it makes the company look like a fucking loony bin that would be the guy in charge of this. And then anybody would suggest to him that he be on television, much less, more importantly, not try to talk him out of it at all costs, indicates that they're fucking taking him for a ride. Because there should have been people going, Tony, you can't do this. Tony, you're not a television personality. Tony, do not. You're not athletic. Whatever the fuck he's not. And there was many of those. Somebody should have been saying that. But instead, Tony, you can take the Meltzer driver. Dave will give it 5 stars. Why else would you do this? This is insanity.
We saw it in the early days of AEW. I mean, it's rather benign, but remember there was a thing after the show with Cody. I remember Aubrey Edwards going crazy, ridiculously over the top, where Tony gave Sean Spears a stunner.
Yes,
and it was
but
all
that
about,
was in the dark.
Well, that was in front of the fans. It wasn't on TV.
But it wasn't on TV, at least. It was just,
It was the origins of this. Get them out there. Let them feel the fans. Let them pop for them. Everyone make them look good. It was the start of this. And now we have Tony seemingly as a character on the show, but all right, well, those are the ratings. Let's go back to the other nonsense. Time travel begins right now.